Hello again, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, then hello, and welcome to Wasn't My Fault. I'm Nathan. If you've seen videos before, you already know that, so what the hell. But this is one of those videos I've been meaning to do for a while, because I do quite like doing vlogs, but they're a weird thing to film. So I've kind of wanted to get into it a little bit, but I always find other excuses. And I thought this is probably a good opportunity to get into that, because of some things that have happened this past year. It's been a bit of a stressful year so far. So as you see by the title, a few months ago I was made redundant. Now if you've seen the videos, I'll put some links in the description on the bottom, but I started a new job back the end of summer last year, and I was quite happy about it because I was working nights for a while in a hotel, not enjoying working nights because you don't have a life, you don't get a lot of sleep, and it was just mind-numbingly dull and boring. But I got a new job and I was really happy. I did a couple of vlogs about it and my first day of training, which ended up being quite boring and dull and mind-numbing, and the training was just awful. It was a week of learning stuff that I really didn't need to. I could have learned it all like in a day, but there we go, we digress. So anyway, it was a sales job doing bathroom selling, and it was okay. It wasn't great. The company were a bit awful, to be honest. And then come March the 1st, we all lost our jobs. The company went into bankruptcy, or however else you want to call it. They became insolvent. They folded and everybody lost their jobs. So it was one of those, oh crap, what do I do now kind of moments. Now, being in the UK, there are ways to help. So if you've been in the situation, I know there's a lot of people in the country at the moment going through that. There's a lot of shops closing down. The steelworks is in trouble. There's Ford are pulling out of some of the factories in the UK. So there's a lot of people losing their jobs. Now, there are things out there to help you. Now, I found this, and usually they'll have a meeting with whoever's doing the administration for the closing of the company. Should give the information if you're in the UK. If other countries, sorry, I can't help that. I only know what happens in the UK. But there's a government body set up, for lack of a better phrase, called the Insolvency Agency. Now, what they do is try and get people money that they're owed from work. Now, for instance, I was owed some money, obviously holiday pay, and a lot of the time when you start a job, you work like a week or a month in hand. So you work a month before you get any pay, and then you kind of have that when you finish. So there was money owed. Now, the company's gone bankrupt, they're not going to pay you anything. But because in the UK, we pay national insurance. Now, if you're not in the UK, you may not know what I'm about. So when you get your wages, the government takes a certain amount off. So obviously there's income tax. So you can earn X amount, I think it's about 12,500 a year. Anything above that, you get taxed, which is about 20% or 17.5% or whatever it happens to be. So they tax you on the remainder of that. So every month you get a little bit of tax taken off. They also take out national insurance. Now, national insurance is all sorts of different things. So as it said, it's kind of insurance. So NHS and everything else. But one of the things it does also cover is insolvency. So what happens when you lose your job because the company is folded is the Insolvency Agency will give you information. So you can go onto the website, they'll give you like a little code, just like a couple of numbers and letters and that sort of thing. You have to put into the website, put in all your details, put, I don't know, how much money you think you're owed, what the money's for, how long you work there, and all that kind of thing. They'll also sort out any notice pay. Now, this is one of those odd ones as well. With notice pay, there's statutory notice and there's notice that the employer has in your contract. So contractual notice, statutory notice. Now, if you're with the company 2 years or less, you only get statutory notice pay, which is 1 week. That's a bit... Even if your contract tells you 4 weeks, you only get statutory pay because you're only there less than 2 years. If you're there over 2 years, you will get proper notice pay. And you can also get some extra pay and that sort of thing as well for being with the company a certain amount of time. After a certain number of years, you get an extra kind of week pay or whatever every year you're there, kind of thing as well. So it's quite good. But this all comes from the government, so it does take a while to come through, which is kind of frustrating. So the first part of it is the money owed. So it's any back pay, any commission, bonuses, and that sort of thing that you can prove. They will have a team working with HR from the old company while they're closing down to go through everybody's wages, all the employees and everything else. So they will have that information. You have to fill in all the information and tell them what you think, and then they'll turn around and go, no, this is actually what we think you're owed and this is what you're going to get. It can take up to like 6 weeks. So it's not going to solve your money issues straight away. but you will get money. So it's not the end of the world. So if you're in this situation and you have been made redundant, the company's folded, there is kind of some light. So you can get some of this money back. So the other part of it is the notice pay. Now, what that is there for is in lieu of any notice. Obviously, if a company sacks you for whatever reason, or you leave, you give them notice, they have to give you notice as well. So there is money there. The only downside with that is you only get paid what you haven't earned during the notice period. So you'll have that notice period of a week, 2 weeks, or whatever, and they will take into account anything. So once the notice period is up, so say you get 4 weeks notice, after 4 weeks, if you've applied for it through the insolvency agency, so you apply for the back pay first, and you also say, I want to also apply for notice pay. If you do that, they will then contact you at the end of that notice period. Once they contact you, you then have to fill in more forms and tell them what notice pay, what notice pay you are expecting. We also tell them of any earnings during that notice. So if you get a job within the first week, you're probably not going to get any money. They also take into account any benefits you claim. So job seekers allowance, universal credit, whatever else it happens to be at the time, because they change the names of it all the time. It's not a lot of money you get for that, but they will always take that automatically. So even if you haven't claimed, they will still take that out of your notice pay, because you should be claiming it and it's money that you should be earning. And so if they're paying you rent as well for housing benefit, they will take that into account and take that off there as well. So bear that in mind. It's money you will get, but there will be deductions on it. So it's one of those things. The other thing to bear in mind is when you apply for universal credit and so on, it takes a whole month to get it. Now, as I said before, there's the whole thing with the back pay. Now, I was unlucky with this. I know it sounds like a bit of a fiddle to the system, but when you apply for like universal credit, job seekers allowance, or whatever it happens to be, they take into account any wages you're having during that time, any wages that you're expecting. Now, what they do, the government, obviously, they look at your tax. When you start paying tax, it then starts affecting what money you get. So, you got money you're waiting from the insolvency agency to send you. You're also waiting for universal credit, housing benefit, and so on as well. And you see where this is going? So, say for instance, the 4 weeks is almost up. You know you're going to get X amount. The government say, like, you've gone on the website, and it's like, this is how much money you will get from us to pay your bills and help support yourself until you find another job. So it's X amount a month. If during that time you get the pay that you're owed, they will then reduce the amount of benefits you get by that. If your pay happens to come afterwards, then yeah, you kind of get away with a little bit. I didn't. I was in one of those situations where I kind of got I got my back pay first, and then I got universal credit, and it wasn't a hell of a lot. So it wasn't great for me from that point of view. And it took several more months then to get the notice pay. So it was a bit not great, to be honest. So yeah, that's a little bit of an issue with that. But not the end of the world, it's fine. I was actually quite lucky. Now, the other reason I'm kind of doing this is to say about one of the ways I actually managed to find employment. Now, I was only unemployed for, 25 days? Which is pretty good, to be honest. I applied for a lot of jobs. Obviously, you all know, jobs are scarce a lot of the time. There's a lot of people going for exactly the same jobs all the time, and it's not easy. Now, I've used LinkedIn. Believe it or not, LinkedIn works. Now, while I was unemployed, looking for jobs, applying for jobs, and everything else, I had a message on LinkedIn from somebody HR for a company called Porcelanosa. You may have heard of them, you may not have. They are a global company. They sell sort of tiles, bathrooms, that sort of thing, and they are rather expensive, kind of, high-end stuff. The company I worked for previously was budget end. This is the complete other end of the scale. They do toilet brushes for £300 or $350, however you want to say. Yeah, they do really expensive stuff, but the best stuff on the market. So it's one of those weird ones. There, some of the spokespeople are like George Clooney and Nicole Kidman. We've got massive posters of them and stuff in the showroom. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of weird. But yeah, I might get out of focus. Wait a minute. Better. Not that you want to see me any clearer than you are already, but I gotta make it look good as well as good as I can this festival. But never mind. Right, as I was saying, so HR, they contacted me, said, "Oh, we heard about your unfortunate news of losing your job. Would you be interested in coming to have an interview?" So I haven't applied for a job, nothing. They actually came to me, which was nice, to say the least. It's a nice situation to be in when somebody says, oh, we've seen your CV, we've heard you haven't got a job, do you want to have a look and see if we're any good? It's like, that's fantastic. So I of course replied. Her name was Jackie. She was absolutely lovely, fantastic, and I can't fault. She did everything she could for me. It was brilliant. So I had an interview in the showroom with the showroom manager. Went really good. I'm okay at talking to people, hence this sort of thing. It really helps with this kind of situation when you're in interviews and all. If you can talk to nobody, then talking to a room of people you don't know is really, really easy as well. So that's quite cool. So yeah, it was good and it sounded promising. It was an interesting place. The commission structure sounded quite good. A company that's been around for a while. They're quite well regarded for the products, maybe not customer service, but that's the industry as a whole. But it was kind of like, yeah, this could be quite good, and it's only 5 minutes away from where I live, so it's like, yeah, this would be quite nice. So that went quite well. So I was speaking to Jackie again, who said, okay, the area manager Matt would like to speak to you as well and have an interview. Now this is where things get rather strange, because as I said, I work in city centre. As I've said before, I cycle everywhere. I've got a little scooter, one of those ones you push, not an electric scooter or anything like that. And I've not needed a car. Now, when I lost my job, it was kind of like, oh crap, how do I go to interviews? Because living in a city centre, unless it's a city centre job, you have to go out of the city. And there's a lot of industrial sites. I tend to do a lot of call centre work and showroom work and that sort of thing. And they tend to be not necessarily in the centre of the city. So I was like, well, what do I do now? And oddly enough, 2 days after I got notice of losing my job, I had a letter through the post from my old mortgage company. Now, when I moved to the city, I sold my old house. I didn't make any money on it, which was a shame, but I know it was kind of one of those things I had to do. Relationship ended and all that sort of stuff. So it's, yeah, not even going to go into that. It's all personal stuff, which I'm not really going to talk about. But anyway, I had a check come through from my old mortgage company. They're doing, I don't know if any other countries are doing it, but in this country they refund a lot of bank charges and payment protection insurance and mis-selling of different insurances and all sorts of different policies like that. And they basically apologised for charges on my account while I had a mortgage with them and sent me a nice cheque for £1,000. So yeah, I went and bought a really, really cheap crappy car. It's a Nissan Micra. It's a nice cute little car. It's fine. It's not the best in the world, but it's got a long MOT. If you don't know what MOT is, in the UK we have to test our cars every year to make sure they're roadworthy, and if it fails any of it, it can't be driven on the road. You can't insure it, you can't tax it, nothing without an MOT certificate. So yeah, and it's all emissions testing and all that sort of stuff as well. So anyway, it was a decent car. It's a Japanese car. I like Japanese stuff, so yeah, and I know Japanese cars tend to last quite a while, and it had all the extras as well, air conditioning, remote keyless entry, and everything else. So it was not a bad car for the price, so I got that. So then, going back to the story, because I digress like I always do, I can't help it, I'm not good at telling stories. I tend to go around all the time. But anyway, so I bought a car, which happened to be quite lucky. Even though the job's only 5 minutes down the road, I didn't really need a car, but Jackie gave me an option. Now, the area manager is based in Bristol. Now, I could either go meet him in Bristol and get the interview done, or wait until he's in Cardiff next. So that's obviously where I live, as I said before. I just usually say city, but yeah, Cardiff. Yeah, you know now. No, stalkers. But anyway, so it would be over like a week and a half, 2 weeks before we'd be in Cardiff. So I'd have to wait. Me, I got a car site. No, I'll meet him as soon as he's available. So I drove over to Bristol and met up with the manager. It went really well. I mean, really well. There's a lot of positive stuff about the future. Talked a lot about where I could fit into the company and the showroom, assistant manager and all sorts of other stuff were kind of thrown about during the interview, which is always a really nice sign. It's I don't want to make it sound like I was just like absolutely amazing and perfect and they just wanted me, but it was one of those interviews where just kind of everything fell into place. He was asking me the right sort of questions, I was answering the questions, I was asking him the right sort of questions he was looking for, and it did go fantastic well, got on really well, and it was absolutely brilliant interview. So he actually offered me the job during the interview, which is unusual to say the least. Usually it takes a couple of days and it's kind of like, if you're interested, I want to offer you. I was like, yeah, okay, I will take the job. And then it was just a matter of sorting out when I could start, because the manager of the local store was actually away for a couple of days, so I couldn't start straight away, so I had to wait like a week. So it was like, that's fantastic. gave me a week to kind of get myself organized and sorted out and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that was, everything fell into place for me. It's really weird. I hope other people are as lucky as me, but I know a lot of people aren't. Other people I've worked with haven't been so lucky. Some have been even lucky. Some people started a job, within a couple of days of losing it. So, it's all different for everybody else. But yeah, my story had a happy ending. I've got a decent job. Okay, it may not be the best job in the world compared with where I have been before and where I would like to be, but it is a stepping stone in the right direction, and it's going quite well now. I've been there a couple of months. I'm doing quite well. Things are progressing how I wanted them to a certain degree. Not everything, because it's sales, so you get slumps in sales throughout the year. So it's kind of one of those weird ones. And when it's such an expensive place as well, yeah, it's kind of strange to get used to that when things are a lot more pricey than you're used to. When you're used to selling budget stuff, then you've got high-end stuff. Very different kind of environment and very different kind of selling, and timescales are different because everything's made in Spain by our own factories, which is why the quality is so good, because we control all ourselves. So it's a little bit unusual from that perspective. But yeah, it's all because of LinkedIn. That's kind of where I'm going around is there is light at the end of the tunnel. You can get help from the government for getting through a period of instability when you lose your job. That's not your fault. Company goes down, it's not like, oh my god, they've gone, they've taken my money, I can't do anything. Yeah, you can. The government is there to help, which is a bizarre thing to say, but there are things in place. I said insolvency agency. I don't know how other countries do that. I really hope they do, because for me it saved really everything that I needed it to. It helped me pay my bills, it got me to interviews, it just helped me survive until I had a new job. So that was pretty good, to be honest. So, the money I made from that was great, because obviously I wasn't going to get paid for a whole month, because I'd started at a weird time. I started just before payday. So obviously I'd missed cut off. I'm not going to get any money, so I had to wait a whole month before I actually got any pay. So it was a struggle. But with the money I was getting through the different benefits and agencies and so on, it got me there. And I'm fine now. It's really good. So yeah, get yourself on LinkedIn. It's one of those social media things, if you don't know what it is, it's kind of like business Facebook. So you connect to all different people, connect to everybody you know, and you'll have connections to everybody they know, and you can, post articles and try and promote yourself. Say, I've just lost my job, my CV's on you, if anybody knows of anybody with this kind of job. It's networking. It is so important these days to, get out there, get your name around, get to know people. It's the adage that people always say is, it's not what you know, it's who you know. That is 100% right. How I got through LinkedIn was my old area manager, I think, was contacted by Porcelain Lowe's saying, oh, we've got a job going in Cardiff, do you know of anybody? They contacted my old store manager, who then gave my name. So it's one of those things that it goes round and round like that. So it's because of the people I worked with felt I was suitable for the role that then passed it down, even though I didn't work with them anymore. We all lost a job. You can help other people now. Some of the people I've worked with in the same place that went down are now having interviews in where I am. I'm not one of the people, I'm not going to influence it at all, because that's not my place to. But I've let them know their positions, so they are having interviews and so on, which is great. It'd be nice to work with some of the same people, because I got on well with them. But it's don't give up. It really is. There is always help out there. It doesn't matter where you are, what situation you're in, there is always some kind of help. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. There's ways to find help from other people, networking, friends, family. Just get yourself out there. It's not give up. There is help. If anybody does have any questions about any of this stuff, needs some advice on it, my contact details are all down there. There's my email address there. If you can click through on my profile and stuff, I don't mind helping out. Leave comment, say, oh, how do I do that? How long does this take? Is there a better way to do this? Who do I contact? I'm here to try and help. You can, let me know if you're on LinkedIn, you're in the UK or somewhere else, and you just want to, network. I'm happy to help anybody. That's the kind of person I am. I'm happy to help. I do charity stuff when I can and everything else. It's not the easy life out there. It's getting harder and harder. Jobs are becoming fewer and fewer. More and more companies are going under. Retail is dying all over the place because of internet sales. So ask for help. Ask anybody for help. Don't be too proud to go, oh, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to claim this, I'm not going to claim that. It makes me feel you know, like I'm worthless or something. It isn't. It's there to help you. Benefits and so on. It is abused by some people, but it's there for a reason. It's there to help you when you need it. You pay into this. You pay national insurance. You pay tax. That's what that's for. It's not just to pay people's wages and pay for the government and all the other nonsense and all their holidays. It's to help you. You lose your job, there is help there. You put money into that yourself. There is no shame at all in asking for some of that money back. That's why it's there. It's there for you, to help you. So, don't be too proud. Don't be ridiculous about it. Like I said, there is absolutely no shame, no nothing. It is just what it is. Go out there, get the help you need, and get back on your feet. There's nothing worse than kind of feeling alone and desperate and having no clue where to go. There is help. There are people who advise you on how to get jobs, how to write CVs. There's help everywhere. Just ask for it. So if you need to, leave a comment, contact me. I'll help anyone I can. It's fine. Just get yourself out there. Be you. Be happy. Don't let it all get to you. You'll get through it. So that's about it. I've rambled on long enough. So thanks a lot for listening. I hope some people find some of this interesting if you can decipher it through the other nonsense and stories I tell. But this is kind of, I just want to try and help other people that have been through this and just kind of let you know it's not the end. You will get through it. It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to lie about that. It isn't easy. When you lose your job, it is devastating. You just feel lost and desperate and you don't know what you're going to do. There's always something better comes along. When one door closes, another one opens. So on that, I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks a lot for watching. Please subscribe. Please come back. Tell me if I'm doing okay with these vlogs. If you want more, I'll try and do a couple more and see if we can get this into a regular thing rather than just a gaming. Because yeah, I've been slacking on that, so I'm going to try and do a little bit more of that and a little bit more of this. So once again, bye bye. See you again.